Hello, in this video, we're going to go over how to use Booleans within Maya. What I have right here is a little demonstration where you can have two overlapping objects to create a new object. Plus, we'll go over some settings on how you could even move these objects to deform them over time. Or we could also go over how we could use them to be able to have this like animated little object. So let's go ahead and get to this. I'm going to just delete these pieces right here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with a default cylinder. I'm going to go to create polygon primitives. I'm going to go to cylinder option box. And within this one, I'm just going to tell it edit, reset these settings and create. So here we have a cylinder. I'm just going to scale it down just so that it's a little bit flatter. So here we go. And then I'm going to create and for this demonstration, it doesn't matter which two objects that we're going to use. I'm just creating that little Pac-Man type shape. I'm going to go back to create polygon primitives. This time I'm going to select a prism option box, edit, reset these settings, create. Now, before I actually use this one, what I want to do, I want to go to my top view. I want to change the manipulator handle to be at the point right here. So I'm going to go ahead and press D on my keyboard and I get the tool right here. I'm going to tell it to snap to points so that when I move it, it snaps to this point. I'm going to click up here to turn off snap to points. Let's see. Turn off snap to points. There it is. Okay. So now when I select it, it's there. So now I'm going to go back to my move tool and I'm going to press and hold down X to temporarily snap to grid and move it right here. Just so that it's at the center point. And what I have right here, I want to make sure that this um, prism that I have, the shape is slightly larger. I'm gonna use my scale tool, R on my keyboard. I'm going to make it slightly larger, but I'm also going to shrink it down for the height. Doesn't have to be that big. And so you can imagine with Booleans, you have depending on how the two shapes interact, you're able to get different results. And so in this case, this is going to be my main shape, my cylinder, and my prism is going to be the secondary shape. I want to remove this shape from this shape. So the order that you select them does matter. However, with Booleans, you are able to do lots of different functions. What I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and select my cylinder, hold down Shift, and then select my prism. I'm going to press Q to just go to the selection mode. Under the modeling menu set, under mesh, I'm going to go into Booleans, and you can see that there are different ways of how these interacting shapes could give you different results. You can imagine that with a union, it's going to combine them to be the final appearance. Difference A and B or B to A, or you could just keep the intersection. You could slice them, punch a hole, cut a hole, split edges. In this case, if we go into I want differences A minus B option box. In reality, these settings doesn't matter which one, it's already set right here for mine, difference A and B. And I'm going to leave these settings as is. I'm going to tell it to apply and close. And just like that, we have our resulting shape. But if you notice, we still have what's called the construction history. We still have the cylinder, the prism, and now a new shape, the poly surface, which is a result of those two shapes. So if you just wanted to create one shape as such, congratulations, you're done. However, if you wish to further explore how you could use these two shapes, I'm going to go over those as well. So, for example, the prism is a shape that's creating this wedge. If we switch to the move tool, press W on your keyboard, you are able to now, for example, if I move this across, you can see that the resulting polysurface shape is updated. If I keep on going, notice that it's now cutting a hole within that shape. And so if you want something like this, you could always further adjust it where if you just are trying to determine where you want these shapes to be at, you could always change this. You could always select them and move them around. For example, I'm going to press Control or Command Z to go back. If I switch to my cylinder, I can move my cylinder. You can see how It, you can move each one independently and get your resulting shape. If I select my surface, you're going to notice something interesting where I'm going to go ahead and move the surface off to the side, in that this surface shape is a result of your two shapes that you use for the Boolean command. So if you try to move these shapes around, uh, you'll notice that the poly surface is going to move as well. So right now there's a connection. This is the construction history. So if you know that all you want is this shape and that's it, you have options. You could always either select your shapes that you use to control this, and you could hide them. Keyboard shortcut Control H, and they're hidden. So now we can only see the poly surface. I'm going to go ahead and just undo that last command. Or what you could also do, if you know that you just want this shape, but you don't want these poly cylinder and prism still there, you could always select your shape and you can tell it to edit, delete by type history. By doing this, it is going to delete what's called the construction history. It's going to delete the original two shapes. And at this point, now we just have this resulting shape. There's nothing else that we can no longer use the original cylinder, the original uh, prism shape that we had to manipulate it. This is the resulting shape. I'm going to undo that last command just so we can have that information back. But say, for example, what if you wanted to have this shape like I had before where you want to animate it? Well, that's where the construction history is really helpful. I'm going to select my prism and say, for example, I already have my keyframe, my timeline to set from frame 1 to 24. So it's going to be 1 second. What if I want to change the scale? It's like over time, I want it to kind of look like it's opening and closing. So I'm going to go ahead and set a keyframe. I'm going to switch to my scale tool. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Shift R. And this is going to create a keyframe for the scale X, Y, and Z. I'm going to go ahead and go to keyframe 24 and press Shift R again because I also want a keyframe. I do have the auto keyframe toggle turned on down here in the bottom right hand corner. So now at frame 12, I'm going to go ahead and scale. Let's say I'm going to scale that is Z down until it looks like it's almost, well, it's nearly closed. I don't want it to clip because it can go all the way around, where it's like, as we'll say right there, you can notice that the value is 0.002 and it already has a keyframe. I'm going to go ahead and go back to beginning frame 1, press play, and you can see that we now get the results of it looks like a little chopping action for a little like my little Pac-Man shape. And so this is how you're able to use Booleans and how you're able to also animate the construction history, the original shapes, to change. And so there's lots of fun things that you're able to do with this. And so depending on what it is that you want to do, think creatively of how you could potentially use the Booleans to create some really fun effects. So I hope that this lesson is helpful in you learning how to work with Booleans. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, good luck.